You see, this is a metaphysical approach, and I don't like to say, because it sounds like I'm going to contradict this, but I'm not. You got to realize the Bible is bringing out a different approach than this is. You see?
Yes, and I do appreciate that. It's not that we're arguing back and forth.
Right.
I'm actually sort of filling in a picture for myself and seeking missing pieces or deeper meaning.
Right. Exactly. So because what I have to say, I'm not trying to contradict this at all, because it's a metaphysical approach, and I'm very wide open to any form of metaphysical approach.
And is yours a metaphysical approach also?
But to me, I do it from the language.
Okay.
I do it strictly from the language. It turns out to be metaphysical because the language is.
It feels metaphysical.
Right.
And in fact, the Aramaic seems to me to have a powerful vibration to it.
Right. Well, but the roots of Hebrew are Aramaic.
The roots of Hebrew are
Aramaic. They say Ugaritic is, because that's the cuneiform form. It was a city called Ugarit.
Okay.
And they found the tablets there. So and with the wedge-shaped sounds on the clay tablets, and so they called it after the city. They called the language Ugaritic language. And Hebrew comes from Ugaritic. No, it's just vowel sounds, just like in Babylon, ancient Babylon and ancient Assyria, which was Sumer and Akkad. They found those clay tablets, and they also had the wedge-shaped letters, well, not letters, but wedge-shaped things to produce sounds. But Aramaic comes from all of that, see? So the real roots of Hebrew is combined with the Ugaritic clay tablets and the background of Aramaic.
Okay.
And they were 2-letter words, 3-letter words. This is the roots.
And did that lead to a more formal Hebrew that is the Torah, and then also a spoken Hebrew?
Yes, that all led to that. And and actually the Hebrew that is spoken now, they borrowed the vowel sounds from Aramaic because they lost it. And the word for Messiah is Mashiach.
If Christ is Messiah, and Messiah is the anointed one?
Yes. Okay, that's because it went into Greek. That's another thing. Most of Christianity is built, here in the West, is built on the Greek language. In our theology, everything is based, well, even the word theology is Greek. That's Greek.
What would
But
we
all
say?
of it comes from Aramaic. There would be no Greek alphabet if it wasn't for the Aramaic alphabet.
Oh, that is profound. So what would the word for religion be?
They had no word for religion. No word for religion. What they used was the word urha. Urha means a path, a road, a way, something you walk on. That's the original meaning.
That is beautiful.
See, not
Urha.
our word religion comes from Latin, which hold us together. See, religiare, which is to hold us together like a ligaments. But in Aramaic and Hebrew, they do have another word that they use in Aramaic, but it's not. We make religion for this word, but it's really not. It's dina, and dina means how shall I put it? Where it's a proper judgment, but not negative. It means a proper judgment where you do right. You see.
Okay.
But the original word is the one I gave you first. Urha.
Urha.
Urha means the path.
The path.
The way, the road. And when Jesus, in the Gospel of John, when it says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, we say that, Enana nuhre, I am the way. I say urha, the first thing, which means my teachings are the road upon which to walk. He wasn't saying him.
Yes.
Even though he says that, Enana, I am the way, meaning what I've taught you. That's why he was using that, see.
Yes.
It's a road upon which you can walk.
And it feels so close and warm, whereas theology sounds distant and academic.
Right.
Unapproachable.
That's why they say
in a way.
they walk with God. That's why the scripture says Enoch walked with God. He was not, for God took him, which means he died. He died, see. But God took him means they don't know where he went. Because these real, and let me tell you, holy men don't die. God takes them. That was the ancient belief, see. God takes holy men. And what they did is they go off into a cave somewhere, but they don't know what cave. That's why they say he disappeared. He was not, meaning we don't know where he went. But he went somewhere and died. Like the Native Americans here in America. They knew when it was time to go. And they would go off somewhere and go.
Yes.
And then later on, they started building things where they would go up and lie on it and go to sleep and go.
Yes.
I'm talking about the Native Americans, see. So, same thing with the scriptures. All these different men says God took him, meaning he went to sleep. And then later on, they start referring to death as sleep, rather than what we use the word death. And the word death is interesting in Aramaic. It means not here, present elsewhere.
Present elsewhere.
Yes.
Death means not here, present elsewhere. Isn't that liberating? Isn't that comforting? Not here, present elsewhere. That's what death is. It changes everything.
Yeah, it's a transition is what it is, see. And it's into what we were originally, see.
Yes.
Before we enfleshed.
Enfleshed. Never heard it put like that. Yeah, before we encased ourselves in
flesh, you see.
Now, further back in our conversation, you were talking about Nuhra and the light, and I sidetracked you and talked about the word, and I don't know that we ever did get to the light.
Well, the idea of the light is enlightenment. That's the idea of it, see. Let there be enlightenment. And this is written in a poetic style. It's the first story of creation.
The first story of creation. Okay.
Which was a prose poem.
Oh.
It was a prose poem. See, the thing is, it's been put together as one book. And the scribes in those days, what they did is they had all these different stories, and they linked them together and made one story.
And they don't really go together? They're autonomous, separate stories?
They're separate, but they linked them together. In other words, for instance, if you're reading Genesis, it says chapter 1. Okay, that ends chapter 1. No, it doesn't. The story still continues in chapter 2 up to the 3rd verse. So they arbitrarily made it chapter 1, and it shouldn't have been. Chapter 1 should have ended, it's going to sound funny, in chapter 2 at verse 3, and not the way it's written in our Bible, see?
Oh.
That's where it concludes. Then when you read the 4th verse, that starts the story of the park in paradise. The word garden there in Aramaic is really paradesa. Now I'm talking Aramaic, not Hebrew. It was a park they were in, loaded with trees, because this was the dream of the agrarian life.
Right.
To have a park with nothing but trees, see. And he was given a job. He was to be, we say gardener. No, he was the keeper of the park. Yeah. Adam. And it's the same in Aramaic or Hebrew. Adam from the word Adama. Adama means the earth, the ground. The topsoil, the rich topsoil, which is the humus.
Yes.
That's why we get the word human. From humus, see?
Oh.
And that's why we live off, I'm talking about us now, we live off the topsoil, which we're killing off.
Yes.
We're killing our topsoil. We don't even have barely 1% of topsoil for our food. That's why we're not nourished. That's why we're sick. That's why all of this is because we have absolutely polluted the ground that gives us life. And we have polluted, and that's why we have sickness, why we have all this stuff, you see.
Yes.
We go against Scripture.
And I'm wondering if you can give me an example of, since the chapters have been changed, how does that differ the story? Can you tell me what the story is now, but what it actually should be?
Well, no, the story is there, but condensed. In other words, it must have had more, just like it doesn't tell us when Adam woke up and et cetera, et cetera. It purposely doesn't do that because these writers had the full story, and what they did is condense it.
They gave us the Cliff Notes?
Right, exactly. Exactly. That's what the ancient scribes did.
Wow.
And so, but they wanted to get through certain ideas through the story, see? So the actual second chapter starts in the 4th verse. But the way it's written, you won't say it that way. It won't. It's chapter 2 starts at verse 1. It starts at verse 4.
Wow.
And because it's going to explain, if we're God's image and likeness, how come we're in so much trouble? Well, then they have this story to explain it, see? Because we created another form of consciousness, which is part of what that says right there, the Course in Miracles.